This is the story when I was the third year of high school in winter. I have been taking a note of my fragmentary memories remained in the corner of my head for about 17 years, although I lost a large part of my memories about what had happened to me then. But I'm going to tell you this story without overstatement. My hometown was a deep rural area. As far as I remember, my hometown, where I used to live, was surrounded by rice fields and mountains. The place for children to play was only a karaoke room in a downtown where we could get there by motorcycle for about an hour. Suddenly, in 1991, a cow center was built in such a rural region where my hometown was located. At the time that the construction plan of a cow center was notified to residents of my hometown, there was a fierce backlash from local people. My parents often attended a protest meeting and demonstration. They submitted a letter of appeal that objected to construction to the mayor and the governor of the prefecture. And they also appealed this matter to local medias, but a cult group offered a deal to the government. Construction of the cult center was pushed through. There were various speculations spread around my hometown in terms of what a deal was. Probably one theory that they're contributing large sum money to a city that was progressing depopulation made the mayor and the governor give a tacit note to construction of a religious facility in our town without even listening to voices of residents, what the most believed. The cow center was constructed in the outskirts of our town. The size of the building area was about 3 times as big as a general baseball dome. The land price in a less populated town must be very cheap. When I was the second year of high school in full, the building was completed, and I was told not to get close to this place and not to meet and talk to believers of the cult by my parents and school teachers. I secretly visited that place with my 8 school friends, but buildings in the property was surrounded by very high outer wall. There was an enormous gate in front of this cult center with devil statues with scary faces placed on both ends of the gate. My friends witnessing the scene were excited and making a fuss, as though they were having fun, like they were saying, "Hey look, that's Demon Lottery." Since then, we called the cult a nickname like Demon Lottery or Devil Organization. When I was free sometimes, me and my friends were hanging around the cult center for fun and killing time by bicycle. Strangely, we've never seen people concerned with the cult, although we visited there several times and hung around outside the cult center. Mysteriously, the place around this cult center remained unpopulated, and nothing special happened to us. Gradually, we lost our interest in this place. When the graduation season was approaching, things about the cult center were no longer talked about by anyone. One day, my classmates A suggested me that we should go to that place for dares to test our courage. According to A, there were cute girls entering and leaving that center, who apparently went outside for shopping every day. A's family was running a large supermarket in our town. They seemed to express deep gratitude for the girls, believers of the cult, buying tens of thousands yen worth of things at their supermarket every single day. A said, "My parents said that all believers there were gentle and good people. It's not scary. Let's go there." We and other classmates got bored every day because of few places to play in our town. "I'm in!" Some of us agreed to his suggestion, and we decided to go there for the courage test. Our first members were 5 people, A, B, C, and D, including me. A while later, juniors E, F, who heard of our plan, ended up joining our team. After all, 7 males in total were gathered for this plan. We were in the mood going there casually. We decided to gather at the cult center at midnight. Our meeting spot was an abandoned post office, not far from the cult center. When I arrived at the meeting spot, A, B, C, and D had been already waiting for me, D, and F. D and F didn't appear at the meeting spot after all, although we waited for them for 30 minutes, so 5 of us decided to head to the cult center, leaving them behind. We parked our bicycle near the outer wall of the cult center and went to the front gate. "Oh my gosh, it is so spooky," I should brought one more flashlight. We were chatting relaxedly with no feeling of nervousness. When we came before the enormous gate, there was a light in a part of a building in the property that was considerably distant from the gate. Hey, believers are still awake. Maybe they are summoning a devil. We were cracking jokes at each other. C said, how we can go inside? Then A said, I know where we can enter. There's a small gate just around the corner of the wall. Hey, A, why didn't you tell us sooner? We replied. We walked along the wall and turned at the end of the wall. We found a small gate on the wall. When A pushed the gate, doors opened inside. 5 of us passed through the gate in turn, which was as big as one adult could barely enter the gate, and we sneaked inside the property. We were hanging around the property while we were turning on and off a flashlight without being noticed by anyone inside. Nothing interesting. It's boring. It's no good to get close to the buildings. We complained about the fact that there was nothing interesting inside the facility. We weren't excited, because we couldn't find anything that fascinated us around there, so we decided to get close to a building. In the property, there was a very wide vacant area, extending 100 meters from the enormous front gate, and 3 buildings were lined up in a row beyond that. I don't remember well, but the design of the buildings was really mysterious. When we were walking along one of the buildings stealthily, there was a lighted clean bathroom building between the buildings solitarily. The area where there was the bathroom building was beautifully paved with white concrete, and there was a bench put in its corner. A said, Bit tired. Take a break. But the classmates complained to B. What? We don't want to be risking found by someone here. It's no good idea. Let's go around these buildings and go back home. I also said, we may be reported to police. I don't want to be causing any troubles before graduating from high school soon. Let's go back home. But A sat down on the bench and started smoking. Alright, we're gonna get out of here after smoking. Everyone sat down on the spot and started smoking like A did. Take a pee. A went inside of the bathroom. B and C were jogging around while smoking. How dare he can take a pee in the property where we trespass? Haha, he may be cursed by a demon if he gets poop out. A called us with a tiny little voice. Hey guys, come right here, there's something interesting here. We streamed into the bathroom. What do you think here is? A said while he indicated the bathroom stall. B said, that's a bathroom stall. Just open the door, A said. B was opening the door while he wondered what he was talking about. Opening the door, there were stairs extending down to a basement floor. It's really weird, isn't it? Both stalls next to this one have a toilet seat as matter of course, but only this stall has the stairs going down to a basement floor inside. We realized the weird situation gradually. In the first place, A's words were strange enough to make us raise skepticism against his behavior. He suddenly suggested us this carriage test here, and he already knew where the unlocked small gate was, where we could sneak into. He took the trouble to let us know a stall with no toilet seat, but the stairs extending down to a basement floor. I just asked him, were you really gonna take a shit? A answered me ambiguously. Well, I just tried to find something interesting here. Of all things, he asked us if we would go down. Of course, I turned his offer down. What do you think you're talking about? Let's get the hell out of here right now. We're gonna be found if dragging our feet round here, I said. Soon after, he was provoking me with scoff. Huh, you're scared, aren't you? You just get chickened out, huh? We just go down to a basement floor from now. I was already aware that this was his provocation that tempted us to go down to a basement floor. B agreed with me. Not going. Let's get out of here. But C and D agreed with A and said, it sounds interesting. Let's go down there. You guys are a hero. It was provoking me and B by tempting C and D. B spit it out. Leave me alone. Have it your way. A said, at any rate, we're gonna go down the stairs. Please be waiting around here. Then they were going down the stairs from the stall. Me and B were waiting inside the bathroom building, not to be found by anyone. We were waiting until they came back, because we were not sure where we might be found from, due to the fact that this bathroom building was sandwiched between two buildings, and there were so many windows on the buildings that someone could easily find us. B asked me, hey, A is really weird, isn't he? I answered him, yes, he is unusual today. It feels me like he has already planned to tempt us to come inside the facility from the beginning. B agreed with me. Same as you think. After that, we talked about how we could deal with the situation, with the fact that we sneaked into the property this night might come to light. When we spent nearly 5 minutes talking about this matter, we got irritated that they didn't come back yet. B told me to get out of here together, but other people went down to a basement floor with all 2 flashlights that we brought. So I pointed out that it was not going to be easy to find the small gate which we came in with no flashlights in this darkness, and we had the risk of being found by someone while it took time to look for the small gate. So we reluctantly decided to keep waiting until other people came back. Before long, we heard footsteps from far away. Apparently, multiple people were walking around this bathroom building. We were in a tense atmosphere in a moment. We whispered to each other, no way! Someone is approaching this building. It's really bad. We froze on the spot because we had no idea what to do then. The fact that the footsteps were approaching from far away was only the thing we knew about it. We didn't really know which direction the footsteps were approaching from. If we had tried to sneak out of this property, we could have been found very soon by someone while we were looking for the way out, because we didn't know the map of this property. B said to me in panic, hey, some people are approaching us. What are we gonna do? It's really no good. This situation made my heart beat very heavily and fast. I said, not necessarily they are heading to this place. If they are likely to do so, we're gonna duck out of the site. However, the footsteps were surely approaching us, and it was obvious that they were walking toward this bathroom building. At the time, we grabbed the doorknob of a stall next to the one with stairs extending down to a basement floor. But the door was locked, and he couldn't open the door even with all his might. B was shouting, God damn it! It's damn locked! We were fucked up! The footsteps were almost there, about 15 meters away from where we were. I intuitively felt sure that they were coming to this bathroom building at the time. B must have thought the same presentiment as well. We stood as steady as a rock. He said to me, no choices left. Let's go down. I answered him, for real? I really felt hesitated to go down the weird stairs, but I accepted his offer after all, because there was no place left anymore for us to be able to hide in this bathroom. And I had a presentiment that we would have been surely captured if we had run away from here, because we had no idea where we were in the darkness in this property. Probably, the special situation where we got undercover in the call center at midnight clouded our judgment. While the footsteps were almost about to enter this bathroom building, me and B opened the door of a stall and moved to the next stall, and we went down the stairs stealthily. The stairs were made of concrete, and I thought the stair path was a bit long to get to a basement floor, but surprisingly the number of the stair steps was just 10. We could see nothing, because of darkness on our way down. B was walking down before me, and he opened the door at the end of the stairs. There was a room inside of the door. Orange miniature light bulbs hang from the ceiling, and the whole room was covered with light orange. In a moment we got into the room, we closed the door quickly and quietly. The width of this room was about 30 square meters. It seemed to be made of concrete. There was a circular object, like a hula hoop, hang vertically from the ceiling in the center of this room. This hula hoop object seemed to be made of iron, which was as big as it almost reached both sides of the wall. We didn't care about that thing, but we just froze in front of the door where we entered. I whispered B. "Where are they? Where's A?" B said with a drawn face, "I have no idea." We realized that the footsteps that we had heard at the ground floor of the bathroom finally came inside of the bathroom as my presentiments said. The footsteps resonated through concrete from overhead. The number of people coming inside of the bathroom building was probably around 3 and 4 judging from the footsteps. We stood still in front of the door without being able to move an inch. I heard their voices talking with each other from the ground floor, but I couldn't catch what they were talking about. B hung his head and closed his eyes. I was not sure how long it took us while we were frozen by fear right in front of the door. I tried hard to remember a popular comedy show in my head in order to calm me down and ease the feeling of fear. Before we knew it, we got the feeling that people in the ground floor increased from 3 or 4 to 10 judging from conversational voices resonating in this building. I intuitively sensed that people in the ground floor already knew that we hid ourselves here with bated breath from the beginning. We were trembling violently because of tremendous fear. Spooky sounds of whispering conversation resonating from the ground floor were almost about to make our consciousness faint away. When suddenly conversational voices stopped, there were consecutive sounds of door opening. Soon we realized that the door opening sounds resonating from the stall. We got gooseskin because the sounds of door opening were not from the stall with stairs extending down to the basement room where we hid, which means that the sounds of door opening were surely from the other stalls that were locked. When we tried to open the door of a locked stall, there was no keyhole on the knob, and the stall can only lock from the inside, which means there had been already someone inside the locked stalls before we entered the bathroom building. Finally, the footsteps went down the stairs. We were driven into a corner. It won't take anyone 15 seconds to come down the stairs to the basement floor. I just held B's arm strongly. Ah! When the footsteps reached the middle of the stairs, B shook off my hand and ran away to the back of the room with a pitiful scream. At the moment he jumped through inside of the hula hoop object, B disappeared in a blink of an eye. I was just being stunned with the happening in front of me. Although B should have stood behind the other side of the hula hoop object, he disappeared all of a sudden after he jumped through it. I was lost in abstraction. I stood between the door and the hula hoop object. It was only a matter of time that I was captured. I was prepared, and I thought I was gonna apologize to people heading down to this place for trespassing. The door opened slowly. Only a face was poked out of a gap in the door in a strained manner. An old man with a crown-like thing on his head was staring at me with a full smile. To be honest, I was not sure if he was an old man or an old woman. A deep wrinkled old man with white long hair wore a crown-like thing on his head, and he was making full smile to me. His smile was filled with evil, and I thought he was not a decent person at the first glance whom I could talk straight with. I naturally screamed pitifully and went straight into the hula hoop object like B did, because I didn't want to be seen by him with spooky smile. When I opened my eyes, I lay down on a bed in the hospital room. My head was dazed. I lay on my back, and a part of my arm was injected for intravenous drip. It took me nearly 3 minutes to get up the upper half of my body. When I casted my eyes on the window, there was beautiful sunset outside. Apparently, the room where I stayed was a private hospital room. There was no one here except for me. A while later, there was a sound turning a doorknob, and a nurse opened the door and she came into my room. A nurse opened her eyes wide in great astonishment and she ran off somewhere. My head was still dazed and blank. A couple minutes later, an attending physician and other people came into my room and they seemed to be speaking to me, but I still kept being dazed. A few hours later, when I came back to consciousness clearly, I was told something that didn't make sense by the physician. I called your family. You have slept for a long time. You don't have to be worried about anything. It's gonna be alright. I didn't get the feeling of time after I woke up. Shortly after, a mother-like woman and a young girl came into my room while they were crying. She was not my mother. She called my name wrongly. The woman who identified herself as my mother was crying with delight. It's a miracle. Thank God. The young girl broke down in tears and said, Brother, you're back here. However, I was sure that I didn't have a sister. I had an elder brother 3 years older than I was, but I didn't have a sister. I was repeatedly asking the physician, I'm sorry, but could you please tell me who they are? The physician encouraged the mother-like woman and the sister-like girl and said to them, It's gonna be alright. This is due to one of the after effects. It must be hard for you, but time will solve. The mother-like woman said to me, I'm gonna be with you all night from now. I had various examinations while I lay down on a bed. I said to the physician, This is not my name. She is not my mother. And I have no sister. He was at a complete loss, and he was tilting his head to a side, and he was saying, Probably there is a problem in your memory. To tell you the truth, you have been confined to a bed with no consciousness for nearly 2 years. Probably your memory hasn't recovered fully yet. I was said by the physician. Even though I was told like that, I didn't get shocked because I wasn't able to swallow everything happening right in front of me then. The physician was kindly encouraging me while he was choosing his words. The mother-like woman was crying out by knowing the fact that her son in front of her lost his memory completely. I told them that I was going to a bathroom. When I tried to get up and stand on my feet was too heavy to support gravity. The physician and nurses lent me their shoulders to support my walk to a bathroom. While I was on my way to a bathroom, suddenly my past memories came back like a flashback. I remembered what had happened at that night. Strangely, the fact of the courage test in the call center has perfectly slipped out of my memory for a couple hours after I woke up on the bed. I was scared of a bathroom. I went into a bathroom with the support of the physician, nurses, the mother-like woman, and the sister-like girl. After I relieved myself, when a mirror came into my sight, I shouted unintentionally. The face that reflected in the mirror was not mine. I don't remember details about what happened then, but at the time I was terribly upset and out of control in extreme panic. After this happening, I was continuously hospitalized for about 1 month. Every time that a couple who identified themselves as my parents, a girl who identified herself as my sister, people who told me that they were my friends, and a middle-aged man who identified himself as my class teacher visited my place, I consistently kept saying, This is not my name. I don't know who you are. I tried to tell them about A and B and memories of the past as far as I remembered, but I was diagnosed with defective memory and amnesia no matter how I explained my circumstance. I was persuaded that there was not a person like A or B I was talking about in this world. However, people around me treated me very kindly. According to the physician, I had been found lying near a bicycle on my way back home from school, and I had been taken to a hospital. I had no idea every information that I heard in this world. For example, I was said that the place where the hospital was located was in Kanagawa Prefecture. But I had no idea what Kanagawa Prefecture was, and there should have been no such a prefecture according to my memory. In addition, I've never heard yen, the name of the Japanese currency, in my life. I had no idea what Tokyo was. I had no idea what Japan was. I was like that. Every time I told the physician such things, I was asked, "So where are you from, actually?" But I couldn't bring back my memories at all. I couldn't remember A's real name, so I explained that night I sneaked into the call center for the CARS test repeatedly. Everyone said to me, "I don't know anyone like the ones whom we are talking about." Without getting down, I explained the situation where I jumped through a hula hoop object, and I came back to consciousness on the hospital bed. But the physician said, "That is probably your dream while you were sleeping." No one believed my story. Weirdly, I myself started accepting the situation I was placed in, while everyone around me denied my true story. Like, I lost my memory. The fragmentary memories left in my head was probably one of my dreams I was having while I was sleeping. I started interpreting my circumstance like another world, and my another character were overwritten on my memories. One way or another, I had no choice left but to go through my life as a changed person in this world from then. After leaving the hospital, I went back home with a couple who identified themselves as my parents, and a girl who identified herself as my sister. They asked me after arriving at their house, "You don't still remember anything?" But the house where we arrived was where I came for the first time. The center of the town where the house was located was where I've never seen before, and I visited for the first time. I seriously tried hard to adjust myself to the new life in the different world I knew nothing about. Especially, it was really tough for me to correct the difference between what I knew then and things that were known as common knowledge in this world. For example, the names of the prefectures and the countries were all I knew for the first time. And there were also a lot of things about historical matters and historical figures that I learned for the first time. But fortunately, the majority of words that I had used for everyday conversation in the previous world was almost the same as the ones used in this world. So I could read books and use paper. It didn't interfere with my daily life. I was able to get used to living in this world naturally. At first, I couldn't become familiar with those people as my family. It was like I lived with strangers that I never knew. I used honorific whenever I talked to them, and I washed underwear myself because I felt ashamed. But strangely enough, as time passed by, I gradually came to think that they were my real family, and the previous life was one of my dreams or something. When I thought this way, my memories of the previous life gradually faded away. It even took me a long time until I brought back my memories of the townscape of my hometown and the faces of my brother, my parents, and friends which I had clearly remembered. However, I clearly remember what happened in the call center at that night even now. Especially the spooky smiling face of that old man still sticks to the corner of my head. By the time I got used to new life and the number of visits to psychiatry reduced, I started going to a high school for the first time in half a year later. I was 20 years old then, and I restarted going to high school as third-year student after a long gap, but I could make new friends and enjoyed school life. There were so many TV programs that I've never seen before that were super interesting to me. Where I lived then was in an urban city of Kanagawa Prefecture. I was filled with excitement of life in an urban city. One day, 4 months later after I started going to high school, a common point that made a connection between this world and that world appeared in front of me in an unexpected manner. That was the day in middle of school summer vacation. I was looking for a book helpful for homework to do. Then one title of a book came into my sight, out of hundreds of books in the shelf. The book was related to religion, Some words, including the title of a book, was undoubtedly the name of the cult that reminded me of that night I sneaked into the property of this cult. I was so shocked, and I was reading the book hungrily. I understood this cult was a global scale cult in this world, although this cult had been just an obscure cult of which I've never heard the name in the previous world where I used to be. From then, I read every single book related to this cult, but it was meaningless. Although I learned a lot of things about this cult through books, nothing changed. I couldn't find the way to go back to the previous worlds, and I didn't even have things to prove my past life, even if I got to know this cult. I thought then I was made fun of by people like, it is a part of your clear dreams, even if I talked to someone about this matter. Moreover, I didn't want to cause any troubles to my friends, my family, and people who kindly looked after me. I've ever spent my life as I pretended to be myself, who everyone around me originally knew in this world before I came from another world. It has passed 17 years since that time. I work as a normal salaryman in Tokyo. The reason why I came up with the idea of talking about my story here is that I received a letter from someone I don't know. The content of a letter written by Anonymous was like this. Sorry to suddenly write to you out of nowhere. I know you well. You should know me well. It took me a very long time and a great effort to find you. This must be your name. I will absolutely send you a letter again. Please don't tell anyone about the content of this letter. Please say hello to your wife. Kind regards. However, the name he told me no longer came to mind. It felt like I had such a name before. I had no fear against the letter. If anything, I read this letter as someone else's problem, to be honest. In the meantime, the second letter was sent to me. My name, that you originally know, is this name. I think you no longer remember my name. Apparently those who came from that world are just you and me. Please be sure to come to this place in front of this station by yourself at 7 on 25th in this month. There's something I need to tell you right now immediately. I don't remember the name written on the letter and who he is, but I decided to meet this person sending this letter to me. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I must go and meet him intuitively. Whoever will wait for me there, I have no confidence to bring back my memory. But if this person is one of the members of that night, I have a feeling that I can understand who he is. I hope this person to be B. I don't really know what will happen to me from now. So I thought I decided to tell you guys my story like this way. I'm just gonna leave a letter to my sister and my wife about this story. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to my talk.